Okay, welcome back to this second part of setting up the, um, the CD for the poster assignment. So what we're going to do is kind of went back to this example that I'm working on. You'll see the finished version in class. I needed some pictures in here to fully illustrate what's going to happen. So what we have is we got the big picture of this nice bass here striking the shaker lure. That's going to be the front. This guy here is the back, the picture of the kids in the boat, and then the inside is just like the text, which isn't formatted at all right now, with the float plane landing. Nice pictures, that kind of stuff. And then so what we have on this guy, the poster itself, well, that's going to be some imagery is going to go in here, but that's all I have for right now. So what we're going to do is, for example, say this was finished. Okay, I would never leave it like this, but just for this sake, let's say it's finished. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export this thing. I'm going to call this, we'll just call this final, or call it something other than final. We'll call it 4.75. Make this a PDF. Okay, we're going to save this thing. Now we want to make sure it's exported as PDFX-1A 2001. We want to make sure that it's all being exported. If you're doing facing pages, make sure you have the spreads thing checked on. Okay. If you set it up how I explained it to you, wouldn't have to use spreads, but that may run into trouble. The marks and bleeds. All printers marks, leave everything on. You can change the offset to 0.125 if you wish. You can leave it just that. Basically, this is the offset of the actual crop marks themselves. So the crops, the bleeds, and all that kind of stuff will be offset 0.125 of an inch away from the bleed itself. The bleed itself is 0.125 of an inch. So sometimes the bleed and the actual crop marks start to interfere with one another, so you do have to watch that as well. Document and bleed settings. Make sure this thing's clicked on. If not, then you'll have to manually type in your stuff. If you click it on, notice how it grays out and defaults to 0.125. That's what we specified in the actual setup of this document. Output. Make sure everything's CMYK. You shouldn't have to touch anything there. You shouldn't have to touch anything here. Everything's cool. So then we go to export. And it's doing its thing. And I hope this PDF X1A works actually, because these are JPEG files and they're RGB, so it may actually toss them out. We'll see what happens. Now we go back to the poster. Poster's fine. And actually I'm going to go in here and turn all my stuff on. If I was to turn this off, there's my actual grid, right? Everything is set up here. So I'm going to go to my pages. I'm going to duplicate this spread. So now I have two. So if I turn on the text layer again, which actually is my image layer, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete, well, I can delete either one of these. I'll delete the top one. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to start placing, I'm going to make a new layer here. I'm going to call this my PDF layer. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place in this file. Now, I have two pages in this file. If I just go ahead and open, it's just going to place the first page. If I go into this little guy here and check on Show Import Options, and I go Open, now what's going to happen is it's going to give me an option. Do I want to place pages, 1 or page 2 or however many pages you want. You also have this option Crop to Trim, Crop to Bleed, Crop to Media. You want to crop to, in this case it should be media, I believe. If you crop to the trim, it's going to crop to the trim lines. You want to see everything just in case. You can crop to the media. And actually check out, you don't want transparent background, all this kind of stuff. And you actually get a preview inside here. See there's the color bars, there's everything. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place this one file. There's my PDF. Well, this is the front, right? So this front I actually have to, oops. And this is where you want to change your reference point. You can go back over here. Now the reference point's in the center, you can just rotate it around. Okay, so now once that's set up, now what you want to do is you want to line up. You don't want to line up to the top bar because this is the actual bleed crops. You want to line up to the second set of crops, the crops that actually go into the paper. And that is your trim, so line her up like that, pow. You don't have to worry about this stuff because this is your bleed and trim anyway, so you just kind of nudge this guy down. you go. Now what you do is you go ahead and you place the second set. Make sure the show import options is turned on. Go to page 2. And again, what you want to do is go in here like so. Sometimes it helps if you make a ruler and go ahead and crop that down like that. And then you just nudge this guy up into place. And it does help to be rather exact. Make sure you get right in there and double check there aren't any white spaces. You may actually have to go in and finagle stuff just a little bit. Make sure everything is lined up. I'm going to actually move my grid up on top to make sure everything is just the way I want it to, and actually see this is kind of off a little bit, so I'm going to have to nudge this around, because I got to make sure this is right, because these are folds, and then it's not a big deal if things go across, if the folds are wrong on the inside of a spread, because it's just folded. But if you have two panels that are individually different, and then your your panel's on the wrong side of the fold, it can look kind of weird at the end. So there you go. So then now we have our front over here, our back over there, our inside, and then we have our poster. And you can see the panels are all going to line up, and if I go back to my assignment 1, that's exactly what we have. We've got the front on this side, back on that side. There you go, front, back, inside down here, and then you got the poster right there. And I'm going to actually have to finish this poster up and all the stuff for class today. But anyway, there you go. Hope that explains it, because it is kind of tricky to figure it out. Oh, and make sure to make a dummy, and I'll post a little wee tiny really low quality vid on making a dummy too shortly after this. Okay, thanks guys, catch you later.